All right, so we're on day 3 of learning about personal narratives. Remember, a personal narrative is a story about you, something that happened to you, a true, real thing, a story that you tell about yourself. And a personal narrative has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we learned yesterday how important it is to put that beginning, that middle, and that end in order so your story will make sense. So today we're going to take a really close look at the beginning of a personal narrative. And it says we will find when, who, what, and where in the beginning of a personal narrative. So a personal narrative, the beginning. As you know, a personal narrative is told in the order that it happened. Today we're going to learn more about the beginning of a personal narrative. So listen to me read 2 beginnings of a story about a little girl's experience. So in blue, I fed ducks. And in red, it says, yesterday I went to the park and fed 2 hungry ducks. So what do you think? Which beginning is better? Do you like the one in blue or the one in red? Why are you choosing that beginning? I really like the one in red. I like the one in red because it gives me more information. It makes me want to hear what happened when she went to the park and fed those ducks. So when we write the beginning of a personal narrative, we need to include important information to tell the reader to let the reader know that what the story is about. It needs to tell who it's about, when and where it happened, and what is happening at the start. So let's see if we can find each in this beginning. So the who, the when, the where, the what. So yesterday I went to the park and fed 2 hungry ducks. Notice how blue, yes, the word yesterday, let me see if I can get my thing to draw yesterday. It's in blue. That tells me when this story is going to happen. Look how I is in purple. That's telling me who. This one right here in gold or yellow, it's the park. That's telling me where this story happened. And this in green, fed 2 hungry ducks. Well, that's what's happening at the start. So at the beginning, in my beginning sentence, I know all of these important things: the when, the where, the who, and the what. So let's look at this. Here's our anchor chart: personal narrative beginning, when. That could be something like the words one day or yesterday or after school, things like that. That's going to give the information of when. Who? Myself, friends, family. You're going to use words like I, me, my, we. We talked about that because it's yours, it's personal to you. What? What did you do? Did you play a game, got hurt, walked the dog? What happened that you want to give us information about? Where were you? Home, school, the park, the bus. So these are all important pieces to knowing or to the beginning part of your personal narrative. So it's detective time. We read the personal narrative Bubbles a few days ago, and so we have the beginning part here in blue where it says Bubbles. The beginning part of that story is written. We are going to be a detective and find this important information at the beginning of our story. So here it is, Bubbles. One summer day at my grandma's house, I got a huge bottle of bubbles. I jumped and I cheered. Okay, so we're over here in my little grid, my box over here where it tells me detective time. I see these important pieces in the beginning of my story: when, who, what, and where. I'm going to find these pieces of information and write them in my chart. So when I go back to my sentence, I can see one summer day. That's my when. That's when this happened. So I could write that one summer day. And who? Who is this story about? Well, I see I, so that's going to be whoever the author is. Whoever the author is. So I might just write, I'm going to write I, and I'm going to put it in quotation marks because that's what's written in our little beginning. And I know that I is whoever the author is. So I'll write author. I is whoever the author is. Okay, and what happened? Well, that person got a huge bottle of bubbles. So that's what happened. So got some bubbles. And where did this happen? Well, it told me at Grandma's house. So I would write that here. Grandma's house. So our beginning sentence in this short little personal narrative bubbles tells me all of the important information. It's so much better than just I got a bottle of bubbles. I know when, I know where it happened. All of these are important. So it says we are going to find important information at the beginning of the personal narrative. Remember, we read the story Bath Time a couple of days ago, yesterday maybe. And let's see. So I have just the beginning of that story written on my screen in blue. It says, one Sunday, I gave my stinky dog, Jeb, a bath in the yard. So let's focus on when. When did this story happen? It tells me it happened on Sunday. I'm going to write that here. On Sunday. Okay. Who? Who is in this story? It's going to be who the author is, that I, right? Remember, we just talked about that. Whoever that is, I is. And also the dog. I'm going to write Jeb because Jeb's in this story too. He's the dog. All right, so I see I and I saw Jeb. So what is happening? Well, the author is giving Jeb a bath. That's what's happening. So where is this happening? Where is this happening? It tells me in the yard, maybe their front yard or their backyard. So I have all of the important information that I need to know for my personal narrative. When, who, what, and where. So now I want you to do this. In your binder, you should have a page that looks like the one on my screen. I want you to find the important information in the beginning of a personal narrative. Remember, we read this story, the personal narrative, A Bad Day, about the little girl that was sick. The beginning of it is written on your page. One day I woke up in bed feeling very sick. I needed my mom. I want you to fill in your detective time grid. Tell me when this is happening, who it's happening to, what is happening, and where it's happening. And then I want you to submit your work to Google Classroom.